You know what one of the questions is that I get asked most often by people moving to or visiting Green Bay, Wisconsin? It's, what do I wear in the winter? In this video, we are going to unpack the insider information you need to know to stay warm and cozy as you venture out and enjoy life here living in Green Bay, Wisconsin in the winter. So when we unpack this question of what do you wear in the winter to stay warm and cozy in Green Bay, Wisconsin, it really is one of those points that actually can almost have that feel of being an insider type of knowledge. And if you are wearing certain things or not wearing certain things, people can kind of tell that you know what you're doing or you don't know what you're doing. And it's funny how that our appearance and the clothing we wear can actually kind of out us as an insider or an outsider in that regard. And so in this video, I wanna, like I said, help you understand what it is that you need to wear and have to stay safe and warm clothing-wise in the winter in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and probably all over Wisconsin, if we're being honest. So the way we're going to do that today is actually through a funny song that you probably sang as a child. Head, shoulders, knees, and toes is the way we are going to think about the clothing accessories you need to stay warm and safe in the winter. Make sure to stick around at the end of the video because I'm going to give you a few extra bonus tips for ways to stay warm at a Green Bay Packer home football game, if that's the reason you're watching this video. So make sure to watch it till the end and I'll give you a few extra tips. Head, shoulders, knees, and toes. That means first up we have the head. This is obviously one of the places where the most heat leaves your body, and if you're like me with no hair on your head, it's a very important part of your body to keep covered up and warm in the freezing cold temperatures that can accompany a Wisconsin Green Bay winter. So the options that I'll lay out for you are basically twofold. You've got the hat option and you've got the hood option. Now, these might be better, one of them or the other might be better for you depending on how you want to keep your hairdo or something like that. But for me, I don't have any hair. I have no style that I need to maintain other than don't freeze the last bits of little hair off of my head. And so I go with the classic, beanie cap look when it comes to a winter hat. And it's just flexible, warm, and one of the things I try to avoid is overheating, and so I just like a hat that keeps my ears warm, covers my ears, and protects me. And you can get those at just about any hardware store, clothing store, depending on the kind you want, the kind of knit look you want or whatever it might be. But just a regular winter beanie cap kind of look is a great way to go. Another way you could go is with a more insulated kind of ski hat with a strap and some fur. That'll keep you really warm, but for my all intents and purposes, I only would go that route if it's like one of those super, super cold days. They are really helpful though because the winter in Green Bay also has a lot of wind that accompanies it, and so the more you can kind of just wrap and bundle up your face, the better it is to stay warm and avoid wind chill and those kinds of things. The hood option, you're going to have more opportunity for wind to get in there and affect your face and neck and head area, but again, it probably put a little less pressure on your hair and be something you can take on and off easy without having to put in your pocket or lose. I can't tell you how many hats I have lost in the winter. It's pretty much one or two a season, and it's just part of doing business in the winter in Green Bay. So hat or hood, best ways to cover your head and stay warm in Green Bay in that regard. So we talked about the head. Now let's talk shoulders. Now, obviously, it's not just shoulders here. We're talking about the core of our body and our hands going out from that. So when I talk about shoulders, that's what I'm referencing. when we look at these areas of our body, these are crucial parts of your body to keep insulated because they involve so much of the heat of your body in the core areas that you want to keep warm. So without much ado, the main important thing when we're talking shoulders and core is a jacket. Now you can't, in my opinion, really overspend on a good jacket when it comes to living in Green Bay, Wisconsin in the winter. The real thing you should consider is not should you have a jacket, it's what kind of jacket do you need. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but jackets have different levels and types of insulation, so do research on those. I couldn't recommend exactly a certain insulation level for you, but depending on how hot or cold your body normally runs, that might affect what kind of insulation you want in your jacket. Now, coats even can have their own variations as well. You've got, like I was saying, the 3 or 4 piece whatever winter layered coat, or your standard 1 layer huge thick warm winter coat. But you could also go with something like a middleweight, windbreaker type jacket with maybe a liner under it, or even a rain jacket with no liner. As long as the layers you have underneath are there, you can actually get away with a fairly light duty jacket as long as that jacket protects you from wind and rain or snow. So you want moisture protection and wind breaking protection because those are 2 elements that actually cause you to get cold more than anything else. So I've gotten away with even winter seasons where I will wear a raincoat over a sweater or something, and I can actually stay significantly or at least moderately warm enough that I can do my day-to-day tasks. So those are some different elements to consider, but the main one is going to be your thick winter jacket and the layers underneath that. And especially with our core of our body anyway, layering is a really key way to both stay warm, but also give you the flexibility to take layers off if the temperature outside warms up, or if you go from outside to inside and you want to shed some layers so that you're not just like totally bundled up, sweating inside where everyone's got the heat on. So layers is a core value that we implement here when we're talking about staying warm, and especially when we're talking about shirt layers, jackets, and that type of thing.
Layers!
So some jackets are built with layers in them. You can get jackets that have a windbreaker element, a light jacket element, and then like a rain cover / wind heavy duty resistant cover that goes over that. And so these actually zip up into each other and it gives you a ton of flexibility. You'll pay more sometimes for that flexibility, but man, it is worth it. I also recommend, like I said with the head, get a jacket that has a hood. One that has a removable hood is a cool thing too, so you don't have to have your hood on all the time, but you could use it. So once you've got the jacket covered, if we're talking base layers, that's a word we'll use when we're talking about what is underneath the outside layer. So a base layer could be some sort of moisture wicking material, and you can get long underwear for your shirt or your pants as well. And I'm not just talking old-timey red stretch onesie type long underwear. I'm talking about like running gear or spandex or whatever you want to call it. We're looking for different blends that absorb moisture well and keep you warm, but are also light and breathable. That is the key and the best thing if you can get it. Now, if we talk about the hands, that is another really important part. Obviously, we don't want our beautiful digits freezing off in the cold, and these are the place that is most susceptible to cold because it's the farthest away from our heart. The blood, when it gets there, it takes the longest to warm, so that's the place we want to cover up. We'll use mittens, gloves, or pockets as the main ways to warm up. Included with that also might be some outside accessories like a hand warmer or some other thing that you might keep in your pocket to keep yourself warm in that regard. But for those, we've got, like I said, gloves, mittens, and pockets. I am someone who hates having things on my hands. I like the feel of just my hands and being able to touch things and kind of have that sensory experience. And so I don't love wearing gloves or mittens in the winter. I will wear them if I am staying outside for a long time or doing some sort of recreation outside, whether that be fishing or skiing or snowball fight or whatever. I don't want to touch snow with my bare hands that much, but my preferred method is a good pocket in my jacket. So if you can get a jacket that has either a lined pocket with some fleece or something in it, or something like that, something you're comfortable putting your hands in to keep them warm but not have to wear gloves, that is a great way to go. Now, if you need gloves or mittens, you can get a lot of different variations. There's thin cotton ones that are barely any kind of glove at all, but they give you an extra layer of protection and can do a really good job for cheap. You can also go up the ladder and get ones with added insulation. Thinsulate is the word that I often see when we're talking winter insulation in gloves, mittens, jackets, boots, etc. And then mittens are the best way to keep your hands really warm. I don't exactly know the science behind it, but there's something about the way that a mitten just curves around your hand and keeps everything internal to the glove, not exposed fingers or things like that, that keeps your hands extra warm. So if you are a stickler for warm fingers, mittens are the best way to go. The downside is, how on earth are you going to text or do anything with a mitten on? They're so bulky and invasive and huge. So pros and cons, figure it out. Some mittens have the little fold flaps you can get to your fingers. Lots of different options there, but find one that works for you. You need to keep your fingers warm if at all possible. Now, you might have heard me say this a few times already. The real key to surviving cold weather, I would say, is not actually the heat. It's actually staying dry, because the dryness, that moisture, if that's in there, that really can affect how cold or warm you feel. So I'm not always running to try to find heat. I'm just trying to find ways to stay dry, whether that's reducing or removing the sweat from my body, or avoiding outside moisture from snow and rain coming in. Those are the things I find actually keep me warmest. Not just, oh, I'm gonna get stuff that's super insulated and that's it, but actually figuring out the balance of how to actually stay dry in the winter is the key, and I'd recommend you focus on that as well. Knees. This is where I tend to skimp. And like I said with shoulders, knees doesn't just mean kneecaps. I'm talking about our legs here, okay? So with this area, this is the spot I get cheap. I tend to skimp always, because if any part of my body tends to stay warm, it's my legs, because usually when I'm walking outside, I'm moving, obviously, and my body stays a little bit warmer in the legs while I'm moving. Or I'm inside and it doesn't matter at that point. So I usually skimp when it comes to leg warmth and protection. A couple things you could do if this was an important area to protect, or if you're going to stay out for a longer extended period of time, you're going to a Packer football game, you're going fishing, hunting, skiing, biking in the snow. People probably do it, I don't know. But anyway, you're going and doing one of those winter activities, and you're going to be out there for a long time. You could go with these elements. Long underwear, like I had mentioned with the core. Long underwear is an easy way to go. I actually will wear those most of the winter because I kind of am a wimp when it comes to being cold. I'll go long underwear and then just whatever my normal pants are. Other people will wear a flannel lined pant, which is really, really sexy from what I hear. And then also people will go with the snow pants option over your other pants, or different more extreme insulated things like that if you needed to protect yourself for a longer period of time outside. Also consider protecting yourself from moisture coming in, especially if you're going to a football game or doing anything like that. Waterproof type materials are a great way to go. Windbreaker pants, that kind of thing can also help you keep warm, but also have lighter duty type material. Okay, we've gotten all the way down to the tippy toes. And those puppies can get cold. Mine gets so cold, I don't know. So at least now that you know, hearing from me, that my toes get cold often, I am somebody who actually really cares about trying to get my feet to be warm, because it's no fun having cold feet.
Where's she going? Don't.
Ever. So when we're talking about how to protect and insulate our feet in the winter, we've got a few main elements. Go figure. We've got our socks and we've got our footwear. Okay, so in the sock world, you've got all sorts of varying things, and the thing to pay attention to is the material in the sock and the thickness of that material. So you've got cotton, you've got blend, you've got wool, and all sorts of things like that. There's some new variations too that are designed to hold heat and wick away moisture, because our feet, tend to be a sweaty area that creates moisture. And so those socks need to be doing the work of pulling that moisture away from your feet, and therefore keeping your feet nice and comfortable and warm. Now, I usually don't go with a super thick wool sock all day, every day. If I'm out for an extended period of time, I'll go wool sock. I may even wear a moisture wicking thinner layer sock underneath that if there is a real need for it. But typically I'll go light duty, like hiking sock with a really thick or really strong, like merino wool percentage count. And you can read the statistics for the different types of blend in a sock, usually on the package. But I'm shooting for merino wool and those nice kinds of wool. And I'll wear a thinner sock that I can fit in most of my shoes and boots. And that's kind of comfortable everyday sock. I don't really like wearing cotton socks in the winter because I just don't feel like they do a good enough job with the moisture issue, and so I usually go wool with socks, but a lighter duty wool sock. Now with boots and other footwear options, there's really the main factor to consider, and then some external ones. That main factor is this is the piece of your body that actually touches snow, water, puddles, mud, whatever it might be, the most, and is also in contact with the freezing cold ground. So usually in the winter, we're talking about wearing a boot. If there's any kind of water or snow or that kind of thing, you need that extra insulation and protection between you, your feet, and the freezing cold ground. You can go with like a rubber boot, you could go with leather boots, or there's so many variations of boots. The main thing you want to know is it waterproof, and how much insulation does it have? And again, this varies based on who the person is, how much insulation they might need or not need. I usually shoot for somewhere between 400 to 800 grams of insulation, just to keep my foot warm, but not too warm, because I don't want to deal with the moisture issue as well from being too warm and sweating. But everybody has a different feel when it comes to that regard. So test them out, see what works for you, and go with that route. The other way you could go, if you wanted to go more light duty, is a shoe that somehow provides some moisture protection as well. So I have a pair of hiking shoes that are comfortable. They're much more like just an athletic fit shoe, but they have a waterproof liner in them and can actually work really well in moist conditions without being a cumbersome boot type of look. I also have a couple of leather shoe and boot options that I can waterproof, and those take good care of me without having to be, again, a bulky boot all the time. So that's up to you. What are you doing? What kind of environment are you in? Consider the different types of boots you might want. There's no place you should avoid skimping more than your core and your boots. So get a good pair of shoes and a good jacket, and you will be taken care of better than in any other way. So those are my key things to invest in when it comes to head, shoulders, knees, and toes, and the places you can really stay warm and comfortable with the best in the winter in Green Bay, Wisconsin. So you made it all the way to the end, and I want to give you those extra tips for staying warm at a Green Bay Packer home football game. Okay, so we've talked about head, shoulders, knees, and toes, all of the different ways you can stay insulated and warm, and a few external ways with hand warmers and things like that. I want to give you a few extra ways to stay warm at a Green Bay Packer home football game, and here they are. So when you're at one of these games, one of the main issues you run into with Lambeau Field is freezing cold metal bleachers. This is the coolest stadium, most historic stadium in the NFL, and it has metal bleachers. Can you imagine metal that's been sitting out overnight in what could be sub-zero temperatures. That is not a warm thing to set your little keister on for the better part of 3 to 4 hours. So a seat cushion or some sort of seat, barrier kind of option is a must in my opinion. Buy a seat cushion, rent a seat from the stadium, and or get a piece of foam, something to break up the metal to your little keister, interaction. You need something to keep you warm that way. Your pants will not be enough. So that's number one. Go figure, I'm going to talk about the same thing. Take that piece of styrofoam, break it in half, put one under your butt, and the other one, put it under your toes. Don't let your feet touch the freezing cold cement in the stadium. They will get so cold. This is one of the cheapest, easiest, cheat code options you have for a Packer game to stay warm in the winter is put something underneath your feet in between them and the cement of the stadium. It will keep you significantly warmer and basically cost you nothing. People will use a carpet remnant, a piece of foam, it could be another seat cushion. You could bring a towel or something that you don't like, although those can get wet, so it's not a great option. Anything that you can use to break up the contact between your feet and that cement will keep you much warmer. Now, there's another way you can get warm at a Green Bay Packer home football game, and that is get out of your seat and go to the bathroom. The bathrooms, some of them or all of them, I can't remember, at Lambeau Field are actually heated. So maybe you just take a few extra minutes on that bathroom break and go hang out in the heated bathroom, warm up for a little bit, and then get back out there and enjoy the game. While you're on your way to get back out there and enjoy the game, make sure to stop and grab some warm food or beverage. Heating your core from the inside is another great way to stay warm at a game. So eat warm food, drink warm drinks, warm Miller Lite or something. I don't know how good that would be, but get something warm. Get it in your body. It'll keep you warm. It'll make you more comfortable, help you enjoy the game. Go Packers. And I hope that these tips and tricks will help you be prepared to enjoy Green Bay, Wisconsin in the winter and a Green Bay Packer home football game if that's where you end up as well. If this video is giving you value, please make sure to hit that thumbs up button to say thank you and kind of pass that on for me. It really helps the video rank in the YouTube algorithms, and I appreciate the feedback. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel as well. I would love to have you get connected and continue to learn more about living in Green Bay and just all these tips and tricks to surviving in the winter or just how to make the most of your experience living in Green Bay, Wisconsin. My name is Andrew Geiwitz. I'm a local real estate agent here in the Green Bay, Wisconsin area, and I would love to help you buy or sell your home as well. So feel free to reach out to me if you have home buying or home selling needs as well. I help all sorts of people across the community and the country move here, so I'd love to help you as well. My contact information is in the description below. You can hit me up through those different ways, and I would look forward to hearing from you. Thanks so much again for watching, guys. My name is Andrew Geiwitz, and I will see you again on another video with Living in Green Bay soon.